Welcome back. Today we're painting Brisbane's iconic Story Bridge at golden hour warm light, long shadows, a moving city, and the quiet beauty of jacaranda over the rooftops. Let's get straight into it. Before any water or paint touches this paper, we sketch. And the pencil matters. I'm using a 4B, soft enough to draw freely. It won't score the paper surface the way a harder pencil would. Light hand. Minimal marks. We're mapping the composition, not rendering it. I'm starting with the horizon line, placed 1/3 up from the bottom of the paper. Low horizon. That gives us a big open sky and a long road stretching toward the light. Now 2 perspective lines from the bottom corners, converging to a vanishing point just left of center. This is the skeleton of the painting. Every shadow, every car. Every roofline follows these lines. The Story Bridge tower goes in on the right side, just its overall silhouette shape. I'm not drawing the structure in detail. At golden hour. The bridge is a dark mass against bright sky. Roof lines of the Queenslander homes along the left, simple pitched shapes. No windows, no doors. Just the profile and the cyclist, 5 marks in the center of the road. Helmet, body, handlebars, frame, shadow line beneath. That's all. Keep your pencil pressure light throughout. Heavy lines will show through your early washes and muddy the lights. The pencil is a guide, not a boundary. The first wash is our sky, and we're working with Hun. This is the most important technique in this painting, so let me be clear about what that means. Wet, wet. You wet the paper first, then drop pigment into that wet surface. The water controls where the color flows. You are not in charge. The water is... Your job is to place the color and then leave it alone. I'm flooding the entire sky area, upper third of the paper, with clean water. I want it glistening, not pooling. If water is running, dab gently with a paper towel. Now, immediately while it's wet, quinacridone gold, right at the horizon. Watch it bloom outward. This is the warmth of the sun, low in the sky, flooding across the bridge and down the road. I'm not brushing it in. I'm placing it and letting the water pull it where it needs to go. Now, this is the most important instruction in this entire video. I'm leaving the paper completely bare where the sun sits just above the horizon. That untouched white paper is your brightest light. It is more luminous than anything you can mix on a palette. Protect it now. Paint around it. Once color goes down there, you cannot get it back. Permanent rose, pulled upward into the mid-sky. Watch it bleed into the gold. That warm rose gold gradient is your sunset. You cannot fake that with a dry brush. Into the upper sky. A very diluted mix of French ultramarine and a touch of burnt sienna. Just a whisper of cooler color telling us the sky deepens as it moves away from the light source. Now brush down. Do not touch it again. Every extra stroke damages it. We wait. Let this dry completely before we go anywhere near those sky edges, while the sky dries. The road foundation goes in the same way, with tan, wet. Flood the lower third of the paper and drop quinacridone gold in a band down the center perspective line. This is the sun reflecting back off the road surface toward us. Raw umber and ultramarine at the outer edges, darker, cooler. The road holds the sky. Sky is dry, beautiful. Now we move to the bridge and background, and we switch technique entirely. This is dry on dry. Dry brush on dry paper. Controlled, deliberate, committed. Where Watan wet gave us atmosphere. Dry on dry gives us structure. My mix for the bridge. French ultramarine and burnt sienna in roughly equal parts, leaning warm. This gives me a rich dark that isn't cold or stark. A cold gray bridge against a warm sky would look wrong. A warm dark keeps the painting unified. The main tower first. Medium round, fully loaded, placed at the top of the tower and pulled downward in one firm stroke. One stroke. No going back. Dry on dry is unforgiving of second attempts. See how that edge is hard and crisp? Good steel is solid. It should have a hard edge. Now the arch tip of the medium round, a curved pulling motion following the sketch. I'm leaving a thin sliver of bare paper along the very top edge of the arch. That's not white paint. That is the paper itself. That is sunlight catching the top of the metal. More powerful than anything I could mix. The supporting cable lines rigger brush now. Long, fine bristles designed exactly for this. I'm pulling 3 or 4 cable lines down from the arch. Not every cable, 3 or 4, varying slightly in weight. The viewer's eye will complete the structure. Background city skyline, same dark mix but slightly more diluted. Flat simplified shapes, hard roofline edges against the sky. These are supporting characters. They exist to frame the bridge, not compete with it. The heavy shadow under the bridge span panes gray and ultramarine, concentrated. I'm placing this as a solid flat wash. Hard edges top and bottom. This shadow is architectural, heavy. It anchors the bridge to the painting. Every mark in this segment exists for the same. It's reason to make that sky behind it glow brighter. The darker the bridge, the more luminous the light around it feels. Now the midground, the Queenslander homes and their trees. This layer lives between the crisp bridge and the loose sky, and it needs to feel that way. Part soft, part structured. I'm lightly re-wetting just the building zone, not soaking it. It's just enough to take the hard edge off the roof lines. These buildings are further back, slightly hazy in warm late afternoon air. A completely hard edge would push them too far forward in space. Burnt sienna and raw umber for the roof shape's mid-tone. Warm. I'm loading the brush fully and placing each roof plane in one stroke, following the shapes from our sketch. The top edge of each roof bleeds softly into the still damp paper. The sides and bottom edges I let be slightly harder. This is selective wetting. You control which edges are soft and which are crisp by controlling which parts of the paper are still wet when the brush arrives. The wall planes below the roof lines. Now the paper surface is drying. I'm waiting for the shine to leave it. When it looks matte, but still feels cool to the back of my hand, I switch to dry dash on dash dry brush. More concentrated burnt sienna. Flat strokes for the walls. These edges are harder now, intentionally so. A wall should feel solid. The contrast between the soft roof edge and the hard wall edge tells the viewer exactly how light and material work in this scene. A few horizontal shadow lines for verandas, panes gray. Very diluted, medium round. Just the suggestion of depth beneath the eaves. Now, the trees. Oh, the buildings are still slightly damp. Foliage canopy, sap green and French ultramarine, medium dark. I'm loading the belly of the brush and dabbing it to the paper, pressing, rotating slightly, lifting. Each dab is a cluster of leaves. Vary the pressure. Vary the size. Leave gaps. Trees have air through them. The road is dry now, and we're placing the vehicles. And I want to reframe how you think about painting cars. A car in late afternoon sun is not a drawing problem. It's a light problem. What are you actually seeing? A bright highlight on the roof where it catches the open sky? A mid-tone body in the shadow of itself. A deeper shadow underneath. A warm glow from the lights. That's it. For values. That's the car. Medium round, Payne's gray, and ultramarine mix. I'm placing the car body as a clean rectangular shape, sitting just above the road surface. That gap is the wheel line. One confident stroke per side plane. The roof? I'm leaving it bare paper. No paint. The roof is catching full open sky, and it's the brightest part of the car. Untouched paper is the right tool, tail light, while the car body stroke is still wet at the edge, touching permanent rose to that wet edge. It bleeds in as a warm glow, not a hard dot of red. That's the difference between a painted car and a photographed one. Leading car gets a touch of diluted quinacridone. Gold at the front headlights catching the last light of the day now, the shadows. And these are the rhythm of the whole painting, long cast shadows. From the power poles, the parked cars, the bridge above, they stretch toward us in perspective, long and dramatic. The signature of golden hour, rigger brush, Payne's gray, heavily diluted, following the perspective lines exactly. Each shadow band is a single pulled stroke. I'm barely touching the paper on the trailing end of each stroke that feathers the edge slightly. A shadow in late afternoon is never a hard line. It softens as the light car reflections on the road surface, still using the rigger. Same dark mix, short broken vertical strokes directly beneath each vehicle. Not a perfect mirror, the road texture breaks the reflection up. Suggest it. Don't polish it. The cyclist. This is the mark I've been building the whole painting toward. There's something about a single person on a bicycle in fading light. It carries so much quiet life. Everything else in this scene is architecture and atmosphere. The cyclist is the heartbeat, and I'm going to paint it in for marks. Watch carefully, because this happens quickly. 1. The body. Single loaded stroke of the rigger, angled slightly forward. Press at the top for the helmet mass. Ease the pressure down through the torso. 2. The handlebar. 1 short horizontal flick to the right. 3. The bike frame. 2 diagonal strokes, suggesting the triangle of the frame. I am not drawing a bicycle. I am suggesting one. There is a difference. For the shadow. The rigger dragged to the left along the road surface. Minimal pressure. Slightly softer than the figure above it. Now, immediately. While that dark is still wet at the edges, I'm touching the very tip of the rigger, loaded with quinacridone gold. To the top of the helmet and the leading shoulder, the sun is catching this person from behind. That tiny warm touch, barely a millimeter, is the difference between a dark silhouette and a living lit figure. That is your painting's emotional center. Any pedestrians in the scene get the same treatment? Body stroke, movement suggested. Warm shoulder, or a rim light where the sun finds them? Last pass on the jacaranda. A deeper mix of permanent rose and ultramarine, more pigment, less water. I'm pushing a few bloom clusters back into shadow to build depth in the canopy. Light blooms at the top, shadow blooms deeper in. 2 values in the tree gives you volume. Without them, the canopy reads flat. Before I touch anything else, I step back. Arm's length isn't enough. I want to see this from across the room the way a viewer will. I'm asking 3 questions. Where does my eye go first? It should go straight to the light, the glow at the horizon, the gold in the road. If it doesn't, something else is too loud and needs to be knocked back. Second question. Are my edges telling the right story? Soft in the sky and background, harder on the bridge and vehicles. Any background edge? It's too crisp, will jump forward in space and break the depth. Third, does anything feel unfinished or overworked? Unfinished gets 1 more mark. Overworked gets left alone. Now, the detailing phase. And we're using 2 things, black watercolor and white watercolor. Fine brushes only from here. This is precision work. Black watercolor first. Not Payne's gray, not ultramarine. Actual black watercolor. Diluted for shadows, concentrated for the deepest darks. Deepest shadow edges, under the bridge span. Beneath the car bodies, inside the deep shadow bands in the road. These are the anchors of the painting. Without them, everything lifts and floats. Final cable lines on the bridge rigger. Black diluted 2 or 3 hairlines only, where they read clearly against the warm sky. Not every cable. Suggestion only. Window shadow hints on the Queenslander facades. Short horizontal marks, very diluted black. Not windows. The shadow where a window would be. Vertical pole lines along the footpath in strict perspective, 1 stroke each. They must follow the perspective lines exactly, or the eye will notice immediately. Now white watercolor. This is used with maximum restraint. It sits on top of the transparent layers, and too much of it makes the painting look chalky and flat. I'm mixing white watercolor with the faintest touch of quinacridone gold, warm white. Not stark white. Cold white highlights on a warm painting look like mistakes. Top edge of the bridge cables and structural elements. Where they catch the skylight a hairline from the rigger. The rim of the cyclist's helmet. The roof highlight of the nearest car if the bare paper wasn't quite bright enough. The single brightest point of the road reflection. Center of the gold strip. One short horizontal touch? 4 touches? That's all. Those 4 marks will lift the luminosity of the entire painting. Finally, if any hard edge in the background feels too mechanical, a clean, barely damp brush gently dissolved over it will soften it back. Just damp. If the brush is too wet, it reopens the wash and you'll get a bloom. And now the brush goes down. Thank you so much for painting with me today. I genuinely hope this helped you see light edges, atmosphere a little differently. If it did, please hit the like button. It's the simplest way to help this channel reach more artists. And it means a great deal. Subscribe if you're not already. And ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next tutorial. I'd love to see your version of this painting. Share it in the comments or tag me on Instagram. Every interpretation will be different, and everyone will be right. See you in the next one. Happy painting!